Alright, welcome to a new section. This is where we handle command line arguments. Now, when you're running command line programs, one of the ways you can pass data into the program is by passing flags. Unlike web application where we have forms, in the command line application, what you have is the argument. So you type the command and then you supply some flags with some data, and that is how you pass data to the program. So in this section, I want to show you exactly how to do that. No external libraries, pure Go. So let's create a folder sec3. And I'm going to create another file inside main.go. Let's start coding. When you run this program, you have access to something here. So let me print ln os.args. Let's print the first one. Of course, this is going to show. So I'm going to say go run sec3. Okay, and you have this very long path, which is a temporary path, but now this is our program. This is a program. So your program is always the first item in the slice of arguments that are being passed in. So when you go to this arg, you see it's just a slice of string. But your program is always the first item inside that slice. So if we want, let's say for instance, let's run the program again, and I say Jane, John. So this is going to be passed at index 1 and index 2. Right? So let's do exactly that. But you have to be careful. Index 1 and index 2. Run it, and you see we have that same program. Maybe we can take that one out now. We have Jane and John. But what happens if I don't pass them? Just run the program. Boom. We panicked. Index out of range, which makes sense. It's an array, right? And arrays are index based. So if the element is not in the array, or your array is not of that size, and you are trying to access that index, for sure you are going to get index out of range. So what do? Always check. If we expect, let's say, os.args to be at least 3 elements inside, so size of 3, at least size of 3 for this program to work. If it's less than that, we can exit the program with good error message. Passed all the args, something like this. Else, at this point, we are safe to access anything at 1 and 2. I run it again. You see, we got the error message, the status of 1. If you want to see the status code, you can say echo this $sign question mark is going to give you the last status code. So this is 1, right? But if we pass it, if we pass all the args, so let's say John and Jane, you see John and Jane, and now let's look at the last status code is 0, which means success. You always want to protect yourself against index out of range or index out of bound kind of exception in your program by, first of all, checking the length of the args. Now, this is one way to accept args, but this is not flags. What we are used to, for instance, when you run the program, you want to do something like this. Let's say title, test, and name or something, font, something like this. So these are flags. This is what we want. Okay? So let's go do something like this. At the moment, they are just being passed as argument 1 and arg2, this is not very useful. So let's see how we can do this. So I'm going to create a folder, sec3b. Okay. quickly create the program file main. Let's close this one out. How do we do it? Let's pretend that this is going to need a database connection. So we are going to say username of the database. This is where we are going to use a flag package, flag.string, the username. Do we have any default value? No. We're just going to say username, right? How about password? Sure. But there's a better way to handle password, but let's just keep working with it for now. And then port, let's just keep it this way. After this, you can call flag.pass to pass the flags. And we can come here and say username, password. Okay. All right. So time to run the program. So go run sec3b. The first thing I'm going to do is to say help. And look at what we have. It says usage. You should pass the program. And you can pass dash password is a string. Dash username is a string, right? Straightforward stuff. So username, test, password, test. And then you see it. But this is really interesting. So it's telling you that star string and then some hexadecimal here, which is a memory location, an address. That is because this flag.string returns a pointer. Look at it. I intentionally left it so we can see it. So it returns a pointer. That means in order for you to get the value, you should dereference. If you are not cool with pointers, then there is a second way to do it. But let's first of all run the program and look at, we have the values. You see this time around, these flags are being interpreted as some sort of tag for you. So this is really useful and easier to manage. So if you don't want to do this pointer thing, maybe you don't like pointer that much, and you should love pointers because pointers are great, then we can take another approach. Let's say we even have our own variable already. So let's say port. I can define it like port int. Then what I can do is to say flag dot, let's say int var, for instance, and then I'll pass the address of port. Basically what I'm saying now is port. I'm going to pass any value that is sent to this int var into this port. I'm going to say port. I won't have a default value, and then I will say db port. Of course, this has to be an int. Okay, this one, I need to bring the program here now. This time around, you see, we don't need to have pointer here anymore. This is a value. So if you don't like pointers, you can declare your variables and take this approach. Now let's run it. It's time to also use the help, dash help. Great, so you see, we can pass in the port and everything now. So let's run it. And port 3306. MySQL. All right, so this looks great. So this is how you work with flags in Go. And this is a very powerful thing because with this, you can, let's do something, right? Let's say we have something here. I hope, okay. Let's say we have something here called db equal to test db. All right, I think we can do db like this, okay? You should be able to say 06. But let's come and use it here. I think we should be able to do this if I remember the syntax. This is a win-win. You can use your environmental variables as command line arguments or flags and it still work, right? So we have an environmental variable called db and then I injected it here. So it's a win-win, and this is why this for me flags are very powerful and very flexible, and you should definitely learn how to use them. So this is for flags. Thank you so much, and more to come. After this we are going to learn how to do some concurrency and more to come.